and admit people. Hey everyone, thanks for being here. I'm gonna get everyone in here and get settled. Hey y'all, thanks for being here. Feel free to share your screen if you'd like to, but there's no pressure. We're gonna give it a couple minutes while everyone gets in. We're so excited you're here. Ooh. Okay. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Celeste. I am with Open House Austin. I am the Director of People and Operations, formerly the Events Manager. So I kind of handle all of the event side and community side of our business. So we're so excited you're here tonight. If this is your first time, thank you so much for joining us. If this is your seasoned member, we're glad you're back. We're so excited. We've got two speakers tonight. We're going to be talking with Kreasha with Mocha's Home and Meshelle with Pink Bubble Properties. As you guys all know, this is about kind of making the most of your short-term rental. So they are both involved in kind of different sides of the short-term rental Airbnb world, and we're just going to hear how the pandemic has kind of obviously pivot a little bit in their business, how they're kind of coming back for it, what they've seen, and they both have some really, really great tips for us to kind of maximize our profit stat. So we're excited to get started. Just a little housekeeping. I'm sharing my screen right now. You should be able to see kind of like a welcome slide, but feel free to chat if you are not seeing it. We will keep you on mute for most of the event. I'm going to unmute you one by one to do introductions here in a second, but feel free to chat in the group to everyone. If you have questions, comments as you go along, we'll have time for like a Q&A session at the end, but if you have questions as we go along through the presentations, feel free to chat them and we will kind of interact with you in there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Christina, who will introduce herself, and we'll get started.
Hey y'all, I'm Christina, one of the co-founders of Open House Austin. Where do I live? I live here. I invest I've invested in Austin, San Antonio, and Atlanta, and currently looking for a second home in Florida. And then what is my favorite or most memorable short-term rentals day? Ooh, oh my gosh, I was not prepared. There was a place in San Miguel in Mexico that I really loved, and it was beautiful. It had really amazing green tile everywhere, and it was just it was for a wedding party, so it was like 5 different couples staying there, and it was just beautiful. Had beautiful views. Anything else I'd want to share? No, it's okay. I'll let other people go.
All right, so I'm just going to go kind of down the list in alphabetical order. Like I said, feel free to share your screen if you want us to see your beautiful face, but no pressure. We understand. Let's go to Allison. Go.
Hi, my name is Allison Heathcote. I actually work with Meshelle and Pink Bubble Properties. My favorite place, I can kind of jump through, but my favorite place that I ever stayed at was in Topanga, just outside of Los Angeles, California, in this gorgeous little Airbnb that was attached to their house, but it was the cutest little space, and that was one of the big things that fueled me to want to do that myself and get more involved in that. I live in Austin currently, and I do invest. I'm building a tiny home in my backyard as we speak, so it's all happening. And anything else that I want to share, just reach out to me and Meshelle at Pink Bubble if you guys want anything after today.
Perfect. Thanks, Allison. Brianna, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi. Yeah, I'll turn my video on for a second. I'm being attacked by my my new puppy. He's like 11 weeks old, and so that's why I keep taking my video off. I'll just show you guys for fun because he's real cute, but he's being kind of an asshole. Anyway, I live in Austin, although currently I'm visiting my family in Florida. My name's Brianna Lang. I do have an investment property, a small house that I used to live in here in Florida, which is why I came down because I've got new tenants that just moved in last week. And but I'm looking hopefully to buy a place in Austin where I currently rent and have an ADU or like attached unit of some kind to make money, investment money off of the place where I live. Most memorable short-term rental stay, I think, would be a place that I rented with a friend of mine in the south of Portugal in the Algarve region. It was just like this really beautiful, like kind of minimalist, but cool little white stucco house with, it was just all like white stucco and terracotta and like a massive pool that was just for the two of us. So it was really awesome. Anyway.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being with us. Let's go to Annie Mooney.
Hello, I'm Annie, and I live in Austin. I currently invest in Austin. I have a few properties here. And my most memorable short rental stay, I'm realizing by seeing this question that I have not stayed in many. I have short-term rented my house, but I haven't stayed in many rentals. I did in college rent a place from a guy that says, I rent rooms in Cinque Terre, Italy. It was a great experience, but it was probably not the safest move I've made in my life. But I guess that's my most memorable one. And that's about it. I look forward to learning more. I'm considering renting out the studio that's attached to my house short term. So I look forward to this.
Awesome. Thanks. No judgment. I'm kind of a hotel girl myself personally, but Colleen, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, and I'll turn my video on. Hi guys. So my name's Colleen. I live here in Austin. I'm a first-time home buyer. We bought our house with Steph just a few months ago, actually. And we are hoping to convert it into a short-term rental. So excited about that. And then most memorable short-term rental stay was we stayed in this like 1970s trailer that was converted and kind of funky out in Silver Lake, Los Angeles, and it smelled like the 70s, looked like the 70s, and was just a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Steph was saying in the chat we should all share these links to these Airbnbs in the Facebook group, which I'm here for that idea. Hanan, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Hanan. Sorry, apologies for not sharing my face today, but just finished a workout. So I currently live in Brooklyn in New York, but my lease ends very shortly. It ends in October. So I'm looking at house hacking into my first investment property in Austin is definitely one of the cities on the top of that list. So my favorite Airbnb, similar, I think, to Annie. I haven't stayed in that many, but I did stay in one in February in Mexico City in the Polanco area, and it was beautiful. So, had a good experience there, and that was probably my most memorable. We'll definitely put that on the Facebook group if anyone's interested.
Yeah, please do. Awesome. Well, thanks for being with us again. Let's go to Heidi Harper.
Hello, my name's Heidi. Live in Austin. I own one property here. My most memorable short-term rental stay was in the French Alps. It was contactless, so they had the key hidden for us. We went in up these awesome tiny staircase, and then you could look out over the mountains and over the lake. It was really pretty.
Wow, that sounds beautiful. I love that. Cool. Let's go to Jen. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, it's been a long day, so I'm not going to share my video. looking weary. But oh, I'm Jen. I'm an agent with Open House. I live in like North Central Austin and invest in North Central Austin and in Lockhart, which is like Southeast Austin or southeast of Austin. Most memorable short-term stay, I've stayed in a lot actually, so it was kind of hard to think about, but last spring I went to Belgium and stayed in, it was sort of a hotel, but it was just the second floor of a house. In this like beautiful, incredible little hotel room in the city center of Antwerp, Belgium. And it was ridiculously cheap. I shared it with my travel buddy, and I think we ended up paying $40 for the night. And it had like a black marble tub. It was just very, very bougie luxe for the price.
That sounds incredible.
Anything else? Nope, I think that's it. Go to Belgium if you haven't been there. That's my other thing.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. Let's go to Judy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Judy, and I live in Houston, Texas. I am currently a realtor, and I have my own personal home investment here in Houston, but I'm getting that prepared to sell on the market just because it's such a hot market right now. And once I sell it, I want to kind of invest it in other places. And Austin is just one of those cities that I really, really love. And if I can purchase something there and do something with it, it would be awesome. My most favorable short-term rental stay, I don't know. I haven't stayed in too many Airbnbs. I would stay mostly in hotels, but some of the places that I have stayed in was like in Europe, in France, and the UK, and the most recent ones are probably like Seattle and Vancouver, but I really loved Vancouver because of the weather and just where it was centrally located. I just loved it so much. It made me want to move there. But yeah, that was probably the recent ones. Anything else? I don't know. Nothing off the top of my head.
No worries. Thanks for being here. We're glad you're joining us.
Thank you.
Let's go to Katya.
Hi, I'm Katya, and I currently have an Airbnb, one property in Central Austin, and let's see, what's my most memorable short-term stay? That would be probably in Napa. We went a few years ago. It was in close proximity to all the wineries, but the backyard space was amazing. It had these tons of flowers. It had the like a bocce ball. I'm probably saying it wrong, but thing like that. And it had an outdoor space that looked over to the vineyards. It was beautiful. And probably my second favorite was a trip we took to Vermont. And sorry, it was the Maine was where we stayed in the Airbnb, and it had it overlooked the water, and we got to go kayaking there, and it was beautiful. And that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Katya.
Okay.
All right, let's go to Lauren Mattern.
Hey everybody, I'm Lauren Matern. I live in a rental right now in Bolden Creek, and I am historically been really focused on stock market investing, and I'm really just getting up to speed and ready to diversify into real estate. So really happy to be here and have stumbled upon you all. And I've been pretty aggressively seeking out my first property, but totally failing at it. I seem to be just too distracted to move quickly enough in this crazy market. So hopefully I'll get my act together and be a little faster on the morning reviews soon. But I'm looking for a property in ideally Highland area, something that has a little house hacking potential. So we'll see if my luck changes. On the short-term rental piece, I am such a people person that I kind of go for like the ones that nobody else wants, where you're like in a grandma's living room or something like that. And I travel a lot for work, so I even stay in Airbnbs for work a lot, and even with random people. And so I've had some fun, like just people-oriented short-term rental experiences in. I can remember a few that were special in Seoul, in one in Rio and one in Havana, where you're just hanging out with people. I think that's what I liked about it. Yeah, and I think that's it. I think my day job, I'm in public transit planning and sustainable transportation planning here in Austin.
Very cool. Awesome. I love all these international destinations. This is fun. All right, let's go to Lily.
Hey, so I'm Lily Smith. I currently live in Maryland for a summer internship, but I'm actually moving back to Portland tomorrow because that's where I go to school. And my favorite short-term rental stay was probably Guatemala. I went with my family, and our Airbnb was at like a base of a dormant volcano on a lake and everything. Stephanie ended up going there for her birthday party or whatever last year or this year. But yeah, I currently own part of a house with my older sister, but that's my only current investment.
Well, we are excited to have you. Lisa Woods.
Hi, my name is Lisa. I live in Austin. I own a home in Southwest Austin, but I'm not currently living there. So it's a rental property, although I wouldn't call it an investment property because I'm probably losing a little money on it every month. And I'd like to turn that around. So maybe a short-term rental is a way to do that. I don't know. My favorite Airbnb, I was thinking about it because there's so many international places that I really loved. But most recently, like a month ago, we stayed at an Airbnb in Wimberley because it had a pool and wanted to get out of town, and was there with some friends that were social distancing as well. And I think that was the first Airbnb that was the destination. Like we were going nowhere else. We went nowhere else. And we loved it. We spent all the time by the pool and barbecuing and playing board games, playing billiards, pool. So it was really great.
Awesome. That sounds so good. Yeah, thank you for joining us, Lisa. I'm sure Meshelle and Kreasha will get into it too, but I feel like one of the trends we've sort of seen is a lot more like local Airbnb travel, you know, just like within the state, which is kind of cool. Let's see, where are we? Let's go to Maddie. Oh, hold on. You're muted, Maddie. Hold on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Maddie. I live in Austin, and I have a rental property in St. Petersburg, Florida, my hometown. What else? Oh, I'm trying to get into the Austin market, but you know, it's a little crazy right now. My favorite short-term rental memory.
They left all kinds of stuff. They didn't want it.
Canada Dry? Hold on. Oh no. Sorry, Maddie. Okay.
Okay, are we back?
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. My favorite Airbnb moment, last year, my fiance and I were trying to figure out like what our spring vacation was going to be. And we just started looking on Airbnb, like where are some cool spots? And we planned an entire trip around going to Joshua Tree because we got this amazing house on 5 acres, like in the desert with panoramic views for like $150 a night. And so we planned like a whole California trip around, part of it staying at this Airbnb. Anything else I'd want to share? I am an architect, and I'm working with a client that's also partnering with Pink Bubble Properties. So hi, Meshelle. And we're helping a client convert her garage. It was like kind of converted into a bedroom. So now we're helping her like put up walls and move that layout around a little bit to accommodate an Airbnb like studio part of her house. And it's been a really fun project and we've loved it and we'd love to do more. So if anyone needs help with the floor plan, architectural layout.
Can I say something? They're brilliant. Yeah, they came up with so many good ideas. So I'm a huge fan. So yeah, I was like in awe, and their design, everything was very pretty. I mean, just everything was great. So
thank you.
Awesome. We're excited to see more about that project. That sounds so exciting. Thanks, Maddie.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Marisol.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marisol. I'm just starting to get into investing and looking into how to turn a house into a short-term rental. So excited to learn more. My most memorable stay, I'm not sure. Like the only thing I can remember, and it's not really the location because it was actually a bachelorette party here in Austin, but the house was on the lake and it had turned like a theater room into a karaoke room with like its own like drum set and everything. And that was super memorable to me. But it's not even like the coolest place I've ever been or like the nicest Airbnb stay, but like the karaoke room, it really stuck with me.
All right, I love that.
That's it.
Cool. Thanks for being here. Let's go to Meshelle Chu.
Hi, can y'all see me?
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Meshelle Chu. I live in Austin. I've been here since 1995. I don't know. I lost count after like the first 2 decades. I currently own a home in Austin. I actually don't know much about short-term rentals, and I thought it was really interesting to learn. So might be my next thing to invest in. I stay in Airbnbs a lot. None of them are super memorable. They're just like someone's home. But I did go to New Orleans and stay in this like one of those really old houses that you see like along the pathway that has like its own foyer and like formal dining, and we stayed in like the basement area. I don't know if it was memorable, but it was definitely very interesting. And yeah, and that's about it.
That's awesome. Thanks for being here, Meshelle. And we got a couple more. Let's go to Mishu.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I can't see anybody. Okay, great. My name is Mishu, and I live in Austin. And last year I bought a house with open house, and I'm working with Meshelle and Allison for my short-term rental. And I just heard about this like maybe 20 minutes before, so I'm glad I got to catch it. I live and invest here because it all came in the same house. And memorable short-term rental. There was a spot in Lisbon that had a key that was kind of like this 4 cross key that was a mess to get to. But once we were there, it was kind of a rooftop situation. It was really lovely. So you could see Lisbon, all of it. Anything else you want to share? No, I've shared a lot.
Awesome. Yeah. Christina was saying Mishu was recently on our podcast. So if you want to hear more about her renovation and property, definitely check that out. Margot, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
This is like every time I'm on a WebEx, I always say that just in case. Hi, everybody. My name is Margot Tajera. I am currently living in Orlando. I own a house. I've owned it for the past 3 years. And I house hacked it. The week that I bought the house in Orlando, I already had people ready to move in that week. Because I wanted to rent to Disney interns, so that's what I've been doing. And I currently have a new tenant. So after he signs the lease, he's moving in the mid-month, and then I'm going to go road tripping for the rest of the year. So I'm excited about that. Other investments I've had, I bought a house in Jacksonville that I recently sold. I bought it for cash and then rented it for about 1.5 years and then sold it for profit in Jacksonville. And then my most memorable short-term rental, definitely Guatemala. I know there are some of you that have been there. I absolutely love it. I have family there. I hold it very dear to my heart. And it was in a place called Lake Atitlan. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that lake. It's surrounded by volcanoes, so it's very, very beautiful. So yeah, and what I do is I work for Tableau Software and Salesforce since we were both acquired. And I am a pre-sales engineer for them. So, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Margot. Let's go to Octavia.
Hello. Hey, can everybody hear me? Awesome. So my name is Octavia, and I live in Austin, Texas. Currently, I don't invest in any properties. I'm actually really interested in real estate investment trusts or REIT or however they call them. So I actually thought this meeting was about that, but that's okay. I can learn about short-term rentals instead because knowledge is power. So I have traveled extensively. I love to travel domestically and internationally. My favorite, memorable doesn't always mean good, but my fondest memories were in Auckland, New Zealand, and then anything really around a beach property, and also Santorini, Greece. So if I can have a view from my Airbnb, I can have a soaking tub, and I am an extensive filterer. So any website that can filter by like waterfront, bathtub, square footage, I am that very picky consumer. And anything else about me, I am looking for other investment opportunities with real estate and out of real estate. So I'm here just to learn.
Perfect. Well, we're glad you're here, and we will not be offended if you decide to leave early. This is not your cup of tea, but we will get you a speaker tailored to, it looks like that's a very popular topic. So we'll get you a speaker soon, I promise. Okay, a couple more and then we'll get started. Shayla.
Hi, I'm Shayla. I live in Austin. I am house hacking the property that I live in now, and I have a rental in Cedar Park. And I'm looking for another property here soon that I can put an ADU on with Jen's help. And then I'm originally from Florida, so that's probably in the plans somewhere not too far down the line to get a place there that I can do a short-term rental with. My most memorable short-term rental stay was on a solo trip to Seattle, and I stayed just in like a little trailer, and I didn't even know this till I got there, but they had like a ton of attractions for hummingbirds. So the whole place was surrounded by hummingbirds, and I had the mountains in the background, and it was just like a stress relief trip. So that was like the nicest surprise to have. Nothing really special about the trailer, but the hummingbirds.
That sounds incredible. I'm here for that. Stacy, can you introduce yourself?
Hey there. So Stacy Champagne. I'm living in New York City for the next 9 days or so. I've got my boxes packed on my left here, and I'll be moving to Scottsdale, Arizona. So I have an investment in Virginia. I also now have one in Arizona, but I'm hoping to expand my portfolio in Virginia more for my parents, where we can have like a mutually beneficial partnership, and they can have additional income in retirement, and I have someone to manage properties that I invest in. It'll all work out really well. My favorite short-term rental was a small, woodsy, tiny home that was in like this super quaint, like small town Virginia that was like unconspicuously actually really expensive. When I went, I was like, oh, this is so cute. Let me go look and see what values are, and everything around here is like super expensive town that I had never heard of. But I used to live like somewhere nearby in like that area. And so I invited over old coworkers, and we basically just like drank wine and caught up on each other's lives. And so it was like, nice ambiance, nice little spot, good memories, all of that. Something else to share about me is that I am the founder of an organization called Hacker in Heels, which is committed to attracting, advancing, and advocating for women in cybersecurity. So that's me.
Thanks for being here, Stacy.
Thank you.
Valerie, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, my name is Valerie Figlin. I live in Austin and have 2 properties here in Austin as well. My most memorable Airbnb experience was in Barcelona. I was traveling solo, so I decided to just get a room in an apartment, and it ended up being just the most zen and lovely space that I could have ever imagined. It was so sometimes you could be like, sometimes renting a room could be a really great experience. So I'm excited to be here and learn more about this topic. And
awesome, thanks for being here, Valerie. All right, last one, Whitney.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Whitney. I live here in Austin. I own my house, and I used to, kind of pre-COVID, would rent out the entire house and go traveling and things like that. And so that was kind of my house hacking. Usually I could make enough to cover my property taxes for the year with things like South by and ACL and all that kind of stuff. Post-COVID, I haven't been renting it out because I've been living here, not so much wanting to go anywhere, and also not so sure about having people actually, in my room and that kind of stuff. So I'm excited about the topic tonight to, think about some other ideas for how to transform it and, continue to make some money off my house. I'd say one of my favorite short-term rentals where I stayed was on the island of Sardinia in Italy. And I mean, the place itself was beautiful. It looked over the ocean, and this little table on the patio we could sit and have coffee. And the thing that really made it was the just crotchety old grandma who lived above us and we're renting her property, who was so funny. The airline had lost my luggage, and she rallied to my side and cursed them out in Italian, and she kind of made the whole thing. So thanks for having us tonight. I'm interested in this topic and excited to see what we learn.
Awesome. I love that. Above and beyond service. I'm into it.
Right.
Well, thank you all for being here again. I'm going to pass the mic, the hyperboreal mic, off to Kreasha, who's going to kick us off and get started. Kreasha, do you want to share your screen?
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah, cool. Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen. Okay, y'all can see my screen? Okay, cool. So my name is Kreasha, but I go by K. It seems to be a lot simpler. I am the founder of Mocha's Home, and that I founded Mocha's Home about coming up on a year ago. By day, I am in the tech world, supporting a team in intellectual property. But by night, I am a interior designer as well as a Airbnb or short-term rental girl. It's something that I love to do. I was thinking that during the intro about like the best Airbnb I stayed in, and the best Airbnb I stayed in was in Cabo. And it was so amazing. It had like swings that went over like this infinity pool, and it was just like a dream. And ever since then, I was like, okay, I want to do this. This is everything. Like, and it was only like $300 too. And it was like 3 bedrooms. So we did like a little couples thing. So yeah, that's how I got interested in Airbnbs. But yeah, so I'm going to run you all through a really simple presentation. What I specialize in and what I really believe has kept me booked throughout COVID is the design of my space and my interior design. Most of the photos that you see here, besides one photo, is the work that I've done over the last 3 years. I haven't been doing interior design professionally up until about a year ago, because it was just something I was passionate about, but I just happened to be good about it, good with it. So I decided to kind of change that and turn it into a business. Right now, I have 2 Airbnbs here in Austin. I'm about to have another that I'm helping this older gentleman in East Austin renovate his property so that he doesn't have to get out of the area and generate some extra income, as well as I just convinced my husband to let me Airbnb out his home. So hopefully that'll be a part of my collection as well. So today we're going to focus on why design is important in your Airbnb and or short-term rental. I'm going to share 5 tips, design tips that I think is why we remain booked, as well as like why we remain booked at a higher rate per night. And then marketing your design and your Airbnb, a couple bonus tips, and then what Mocha's is doing and the things that we offer. So why focus on design? So whenever you're thinking about the design of your short-term rental, you have to think about the experience that you're actually giving your guests. A well-designed home attracts more bookings on Airbnb, and guests tend to leave 5-star reviews when you have a well-designed home, which reviews is really your bread and butter whenever you're having a short-term rental. You want to make sure that your reviews stay high. And I find by having a really well-designed space as well as a really clean space, especially during this time, you can kind of stay within that 5-star range. Also, whenever you're designing your space, it tells a unique story. It sets you apart from competition, because especially in a market like Austin, there is so much competition in short-term rental spaces right now that you have to have something that sets you apart. I believe that design does that. And you also want to consider, how do you want your guests to feel whenever they're entering your home and or your space? For me, I think of different adjectives, like I want to feel safe. I want to feel warm and fuzzy. I want to feel wild. Some spaces make me feel adventurous. These are things that you want to think about whenever you are designing your short-term rental. So how do you make your short-term rental stand out? Creating value through your short-term rental. So I'm going to share just 5 tips. These are definitely not the only things that you need to do within your design, but this is the 5 top things that I think you can start out focusing on. So number 1 is creating a statement entryway. This is a great opportunity for you to highlight local things as well. So I typically put like local magazines up at the front. First impressions are everything. So you want this to really be a statement area. You want to start off wowing your guests. I also like to include in this area like some restaurant menus, as well as like a house manual. So walking them through everything that they're going to experience within the house and kind of highlighting the above and beyond things that we've done. So the second tip I would say is spend the extra coin for beautiful bedding. So I know sometimes it feels like this is a short-term rental, so you don't really want to invest in the extra, high thread count sheets or a duvet or, a comforter that's plush or down feather pillows. But I find that the investment that I've done within this space, creating these beautiful beds, I've gotten my return on that tenfold. Like, yeah, it was a couple of $100s in the beginning, but I feel like I've got my return back on that. And within our reviews, our bedding is actually highlighted all the time. So when I think about the bedding, I'm thinking about, this is where this is where you rest. This is where the magic happens. This is where we engage in pillow talk after a long day of exploring. So you want to think about, what are your guests doing within Austin or wherever you are? A lot of times they're exploring all day long. By the time they get back to your short-term rental, they're tired, they just want to relax. and there's nothing better than a plush bed. Some bonus tips. So with your bed sheets, you want to make sure that you get a high thread count. Those tend to be more comfortable. You also want to ensure that you have 2 pillows for each guest. I know that sounds silly, but you don't know how many short-term rentals I've been to, and there's 1 pillow for each person in the bed, and it's the most annoying thing for me. So those are some bonus tips. So tip number 3, something that I always implement into every design that I do, like personal design, residential design, as well as my short-term rental design, is actually adding nature into the mix. So everyone loves a good plant nowadays. I'm a hashtag plant mom for sure. If you go on my Instagram, everywhere, I have plants everywhere. And so whenever you're designing your short-term rental, you also want to think about plants, and you want to think about plants that you're not going to have to maintain, because you're not going to always be there to water them and everything else. So you want to think of low light, low water, low maintenance plants. And some plants that come to mind is the spider plants, bird of paradise. That's my favorite plant ever. It's beautiful. Fern plants and bamboo palm stone plants. Those tend to be really low maintenance, and you don't have to water them maybe 2 or 3 times a week. So you can put those into your design and not even think about it. Okay, so tip number 4, you want to make sure your design is cohesive. So you want to tell a story, and you want to tell one story throughout the entire space. From your bathroom, your kitchen, your dining area, your bedroom, your living room, you want it all to tie in cohesively. And that's really where good design comes in. So this, for example, is boho / mid-century mix, and they tie in well together, but there's all kind of design plans that you could do. So there's modern, there's mid-century, bohemian, traditional. You can do a mix of some clash with one another. But you want to decide what you want to do from the beginning, and you want to stick with that throughout your entire Airbnb so that you're telling a better story, and it implies that you were intentional whenever you designed your space. So tip number 5 is tell the story of your city. So you want to tell the story of your city throughout your short-term rental. For example, we have a statement wall of local original menus of nearby restaurants. So in one of our walls within the kitchen, we actually just went to local restaurants and got their menus, and we framed them and hung them on the wall, like in a gallery wall form. It's pretty cool because people can see the menus from in the kitchen and go to those locally, but also it's just a cool little highlight. So I try to do that throughout my short-term rentals so that it feels more authentic. I also include a welcome basket in all of my Airbnbs, and this has like local snacks, local coffee, depending on the guest, if they're of age, local beers will be in the fridge, chilled. These are just little things that you can do to ensure that you can remain booked, but also that you can charge a little bit of a higher price. So the next thing I want to go over is value ultimate hospitality. So I think of my Airbnb business, short-term rental business, as not only being a business, but most importantly, being a hospitality business. So I want to go above and beyond in whatever way I can. And a lot of the times, whenever you're doing a short-term rental, you're not really going to interact with the guests unless you're sharing a space. Maybe you're renting out a bedroom, you will interact with them. But if you have a standalone short-term rental, you're not going to interact with them. So the way that you provide hospitality and good service is just through different elements throughout the home. So you can provide a discount code to loyal customers. Let's say that they're going to come back or they're going to rebook within the next 6 months. I always give a discount code, and that's in the manual within the home. And then you can provide memorable experiences. So nowadays, I'm always trying to create Instagrammable moments because that prompts the person, whoever's staying in the space, to share your space on social media. I create a hashtag for my Airbnbs and Instagram for my Airbnbs because this just keeps the value going. It keeps it going on social media. So when you're designing your space, think about statement walls. Think about, I have a mirror in one of my Airbnbs and I have a decal over the mirror that says, "You look so beautiful." And literally people are always taking pictures in this mirror all the time. So this is an Instagrammable moment. Also, another thing, and I know it's an added cost, but it pays on the, in the end, is providing things like disposable razors, mini lotion bottles, cotton balls, creamers, premium channels, tampons, pads, things that people quite often forget. I know when I go to hotels, I'm always forgetting stuff and having to go downstairs and ask for random stuff. So I try to provide that within my short-term rentals, and I see that that pays me back with the daily rates as well as the reviews, because it's a pleasant surprise. And lastly, so you want to tell the story of your Airbnb. So what I mean by that is when you're actually listing your Airbnb, you want to tell the story of the home. You want to tie your description into your design. So for example, if you went above and beyond on the bedding, speak to its comfort. If you added elements that celebrate the city, speak to its originality whenever you're creating the listing. If you added a welcome basket, speak to a surprise waiting for your guests when you get in. And again, like I'll just continue to repeat this, that it's really all about hospitality and the service that you're providing, especially when you want to charge a premium rate for your short-term rental. And I find that when you go above and beyond, you can do that and it pays you back. Also, whenever you're creating your listing, you also want to use phrases like, don't worry, we've got you covered. You've got everything you need right here. These things imply that you went above and beyond, that you've thought of everything. On the back end, then you got to ensure that you have thought of almost everything and you have, your ducks in a row, because you don't want that to come back and bite you. But for the most part, if you have your ducks in a row, then you can say statements like that and they'll pay you back in the end. So next, one of the things that we're starting to offer, because I know starting an Airbnb is sometimes anxiety ridden. And when you're in a place like Austin, there's so much competition that sometimes you may feel like you need the absolute best Airbnb to even be able to compete at all. So one of the things that we're going to start to do is offer Airbnb design services. And this is just to help you out if you are, maybe you're not into home decor, you don't really know how to lay out your space, but you know that you want a beautiful space. We can help you out there. So this is something that we're starting to offer. This is just your full package. So this is from start to finish, meaning we start at our first meeting, and at the end of the last meeting, your space is set up and you're ready to go. Another thing that we're offering is design consultancy. So say for instance, you know essentially what you want in your Airbnb, but you just don't know how to conceptualize it. We can also help you with that as well. And that's something that we're starting to offer. And that is it. I have linked how you can get in contact with me or visit our website and check us out. One thing that I am going to send over to you all is a budget tracker. I actually created a budget tracker within this last month, and it literally goes through the specific things that I've bought for my Airbnbs, how much it costs. It has direct links, and you can adjust, according to what you want to have. But I'm going to send that out to you all, as well as a template on how to do market research. So just in case you're not looking to do this in Austin, maybe you're looking to do it somewhere else, I have a questionnaire that's 10 questions that you want to hit. You want to make sure that you know that I'll send out to you all after this as well. So that is it. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to pass it over.
Awesome. Oh my God, those pictures are so dreamy. I love them.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to pass it over to Meshelle with Pink Bubble. Okay. Oh, we got to unmute her. Hold on, you're muted, Meshelle.
Me or there we go. Are you there? Okay. Yes, those were beautiful. I think everybody was doing this. every picture. So nice. Well, my favorite is so funny that Lilia chose my same favorite short-term rental stay in Guatemala. And somebody else mentioned Lake Atitlan, and that was our favorite. But my most memorable was when I went to visit Lilia at college in Portland. And I was staying in this cabin And I said, oh, just come stay with me in my little cabin. It was probably 5 feet by 10 feet. And they said they had a camp bed, and it was like a couple of blankets on the floor and a fire. I had to keep feeding the fire all night. We had to go in the house to use the bathroom. So that was very memorable. So, I started staying in Airbnbs with my kids when we traveled because it was so much cheaper because we could cook. And we could like have lazy mornings and cook. And so that's where I kind of first fell in love with Airbnbs. And when I moved from Houston to Austin, Steph had Airbnb a house we had bought together. So I have 3 of my own, and then somebody asked me to manage theirs, and now it's grown to, I think we have at least 10. I don't have all of them on here, but the reason I put this map together was so that you could kind of see where Airbnbs work everywhere. I was shocked. We have one off William Cannon, and it's booked all the time. It's crazy. So it doesn't have to be in like the most prime place in Austin. Christina, she's still on here, I'm managing her boyfriend's, and I see that one didn't make it on. That's west of 183, booked all the time. So it's east of 183, sorry. So location, it doesn't have to be the prime location to be a great moneymaker. If you're thinking of investing, there's different angles to take. So, okay, next list. So I was just kind of going over some money. So we manage other people's properties. Now I take care of my own. So you can either have it be a part-time job and you get all the money, or you clean it, you manage everything, and then that's your part-time job. You're doing the work. But then you pass it off to somebody else. You're not making as much money, but it becomes true passive income. Like Steph, she has 2 properties, and one she manages and she does all the work, and the other one she hired me. She's in our club of houses, and she just didn't want to do the work. So we take care of all of the extra stuff. Okay, I was just kind of going, this one's on Gonzales and Springdale. This is our front house. Celeste, you can go to the next one. I'm just kind of going through a couple just so you can see that it doesn't have to be. This is the house off William Cannon, 3,500. I think this month it did over 4,000. So gross before everything came out. Next one. This is a little 3-1. It's less than 900 square feet. And this last month, this was from pre-COVID, but this month it did 4,500, I think. So COVID, it seems like people have bailed on Airbnb. There's fewer out there, and ours are packed. So I think it's still a really great investment. And some of this didn't translate so well, but one of my tips is invest in great photos. Airbnb is not having their photographers come out right now because of COVID, but you can find a photographer that there's Allison will know what this is. There's a Facebook group for, when you do it on your own, freelancers. And we just put an ad for photographers, and they've done a great job, and they're very affordable. Okay, next. Okay, play up what you got. So if your house is spacious, play up the roominess and the spacious. And Keisha mentioned that, just whatever it is that yours is great. This is Steph's tiny home she put in her backyard, and that's bringing in $3,000 a month, and it's 12 by 20, and well, for like a couple months. And her friend Allegra, who you may know, has a very similar thing, very similar numbers. If it's tiny, people like tiny. If you have an outdoor space, I love an outdoor space. Play up, whatever it is that you have. Location, I mean, you could be close to the airport. That could be your niche of being close to the airport. You could be close to, before we got on, Keisha mentioned public transportation. You know, either public transportation or the lake or trails, whatever it is, or your cafes that are close by. I take care of one house that's south off of Onion Creek, and it's this tiny little old-fashioned cabin. And if we talk about style, it's the opposite of that. It's like grandma stuff. She stays booked all the time, but she advertises it as a retreat, a writer's retreat, and she allows pets, booked all the time. So it's almost like you can't go wrong, and you're investing. You know, just whatever it is, figure it out. Our front house that we rent out, bachelorettes love it. So I leave a box of decorations that are reusable that they could, because they all come in and we're blowing up their balloons and they're doing their things, but I leave things that they could use. Style, I completely agree with having a great style. But the grandma cabin, even that rents out. But I think style's a great thing. And you know, groups, some people want to come with spouses. I'm not a huge advocate of the bunk beds in every room, but if it appeals to groups, you know, I'll leave extra beds. Okay, next. Well, for us, I love high occupancy rates. And when I remember if you don't know, Steph, who is one of the founders of Open House, she's my daughter, and she was taking care of hers and she was taking care of mine. She's like, I'm just gonna drop the price during the weeks. And I dropped the price half probably during the weeks. My income went up $1,500 a month. And there were days that were just going vacant before. And so now that's part of my formula. And, you know, overall, I tell my clients, when some of them will go, what? You're only charging this much? I'm like, something's better than nothing. So and the bottom line, if my income went up $1,500, that was college tuition for my girls. So that helps with that. To increase occupancy rates, I'll do one night stays. I usually don't do them on the weekends, but one of my tricks is that the week of, if by chance I'm not booked on a weekend, I'll up the price on a Friday and a Saturday and let them come for one night, like 1.5 times the price. And they get booked because nobody's available to book one night on the weekends. So, and we have a team of cleaners and it gives my cleaners more work. So I'm happy for that, for them. So I don't do it all the time, but this weekend I did it for a couple houses and they booked up. I offer, there's a formula in AirBNB where you can do last minute discounts. It's a formula you set up ahead of time and it just automatically discounts the house, whatever you want, like 7 days in advance, you could drop it 10%, 3 days, another %. So you could play with last minute discounts. I don't require a deposit and I allow instant bookings. And we have probably 15 properties on our sheet and we have 85 to 100% occupancy. So even through COVID. So I think this I was starting to think, no, what keeps our occupancy rates high, and that's, I think, what it is. Okay, Celeste. I told Celeste I was gonna blink twice and she was gonna. We agree with that welcome basket with Keisha. I love leaving snacks and wine, sparkling water in the fridge. Home baked snacks I do for the front house, and sometimes when I'm feeling I don't have any kids to cook for anymore, so I'll bake cookies and put them in the plastic bags and just take them around to all the houses, and they get warm cookies and they like that. I don't advertise that because that happens just when I feel like it. That's one of those spontaneous things. I agree with great linens. I like leaving lotion, and I like leaving a little essential oil by the bed because I think not everybody loves a smell, but if they do, they could spray lavender or something before they go to bed. And I love to decorate with books, and I choose books that are easy to pick up and read, just to flip open and read. And my girls, I have all of their old Harry Potter, Hunger Games, all the ones that kind of the millennials went through. And so those are sprinkled throughout the houses, and people mention them because I think it's nostalgic. Oh, I do leave a just in case drawer with things that are easily forgotten. You know, a lot of people will travel for work, so I'll leave some work things and erasers and toothbrushes. There's a, you know, on Amazon, you can get like 100 toothbrushes for $17. So that's an easy, and they're individually wrapped, so that's an easy thing to leave for people who forget. So, and that's not a huge expense. Q-tips I love to leave. And yeah, razors, I always bring razors. I always think, what would I forget? So, okay, Celeste. I think I just titled this Success Over Time. This is my front house, and Steph and her boyfriend were taking care of it before we got here. They were gross. 2,500 was a good month. And we, Shannon and I moved here, we took it over, and we started adding better linens, kind of all the things. We kind of worked on design. We budget from our house $1,000 a month for just upkeep of our property. Just we put in a new we save up, put in a new bathroom. We save up and redo the siding. Well, today we're redoing the windows in another house just to keep it fresh and updated, and improve the amenities, the dish. Just recently we updated the knives, things like that. So in a year we went from 2,500 to 5,000 to 7,000. So that was, and playing with the price, but I've seen that time over time. Like after taking care of houses for a year, I've seen their profits go up. You know, it just gets better with the reviews. You know, you get all of the good reviews, and it'll increase. So when I take on new clients, I always tell them it'll start here, but it will increase over time. I'm wondering if Keisha, are you nodding your head, Keisha? Have you seen that too? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think reviews are probably one of them, but you know, the continually improving a property, and they see that you've had a lot of guests. I think it gives you some validity. All right, Celeste. Oh, I think I mentioned this earlier. Something's better than nothing. You know, you read things, the more you, this is what I've heard, the more you're on your listing, you move up in the search. So I'll change the title, I'll change the picture, your main picture. I will, and sometimes I change the price by $1 and then boop, we got a booking. So I think the more you're on there and you kind of change, so I'll get on every day and kind of change my prices around. I mentioned my cheaper weekdays. Yeah, I don't do one night weekends a lot, but it's kind of fun to like just experiment. To me, it's almost like gambling or a game. I'll say, I'm going to see how much I can get for a client or for me, and I'll bump up the price or play with it. This is inside of Steph's little tiny home right here. And we get all of our stuff used because I want to say because we're sustainability thinking. Partly that's more of my thinking, but I find unique things for houses, you know, better than like a Home Goods or, so I like buying used, and we do agree with the plants. I love the plants. Okay, next. Oh yeah. So that was, I guess I focus more on the money part of it, but if I were to say, I wasn't sure when, I should have done an ending slide. I have a lot of clients wondering, should I be long-term or short-term? And one of the huge benefits of long-term or short-term is that your property's taken care of. Somebody's in there cleaning it every 3 days, every week. And you're never, if you have a leak, you know you have a leak. And that toilet's being cleaned. That's not, you know, you're not going in once a year. And I've taken care of long-term also. And you're not going in and cleaning up somebody's mess after the year. So that's a huge benefit. The income is more, and you're not begging anybody for money because you're getting your payout through Airbnb or VRBO. It gets right. If you haven't done Airbnb before, they send it to you the day after your guest arrives. So you're not saying, please pay me, please pay me. So that's the other benefit. Long term, you're locked into a same price for a year, and I guarantee over a year you will increase. Numbers wise, we did have, like, April was, everybody was like, we just want to pay our payment. But then, you know, May was back. May just bounced back, and June was, I was telling them, I think June, no, we just finished July. July was our highest month ever, even before COVID, for our two of my houses. So it's still a good time to be in the business. So, okay, thank you, Celeste. Thank you. It was so nice to see everybody's introductions. So.
Yeah, definitely. If you have any questions, feel free to, you can, I think, raise your hand and say it, or just pop on or chat it, however you want. Meshelle, if you want to talk, somebody was asking, a little bit intimidated by the Airbnb licensing process. Do you want to talk about kind of that permitting? And
I've been through it. My front house, we weren't licensed, and so I got the letter saying, shut it down, kind of like that. But the letter isn't really shut it down. It says you can't advertise, but we had bookings for months, so we were fine. And I went through the process, and it's almost like facing that fear of just going in. And they're so nice down at the office. I went through I was mortified, or like just terrified of I had to get a certificate of occupancy. One of our clients, they just sent the email, and if you want the email of the guy that does certificate of occupancies, if you want to know if yours has it, you send them an email. They got their certificate of occupancy back in an hour. Mine was an old house, so it didn't have it. So I thought, oh, I have unpermitted things on my property. What am I going to do? And he came out, I was like, oh yeah, the night before, I'm like, what do I wear? Do I want to look poor? Do I want to look fancy? And, you know, just didn't sleep. He was so nice. Everybody was so nice through the process. They just want their taxes. So it wasn't awful. You have to be on the deed. You have to, and I talked to one of the enforcement officers. He was looking at a house down the street, and I knocked on his truck window. I'm like, "Are you trying to shut us down? What do you want from us?" And he goes, "It's your house. You can do with whatever you want." He goes, "You don't even have to live there." I'm like, "Really?" But that's what he said. He goes, "You don't have to live there. You, we just pretty much they just want their slice of the pie." So, it's a $500 fee, $570 fee, and then every quarter you pay on your taxes, and they'll send you a form. It's all online, and you can just send it to them. They if anybody needs help with that, I've written an article about it, the steps I went through, and I feel like mine was the hardest case, and it worked out. So does that help?
Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions? Feel free you can ask them live or type them in, however, for either Kay or Meshelle.
I have a question. It may be related or not, I'm not quite sure. So we're selling the house that I'm in, we're selling it hopefully in like October. And we originally wanted to keep this property to turn into a rental, but it's turning out that the house is needing more work than what we're really willing to put in long term over like 10 years because the house is really old and the neighborhood is being actively gentrified. Changed, knocked down, new high rises popped up. We're in Mueller, Windsor Park area. So when we look to quote unquote start over, I would like to have property in my own name separate from my significant other. And then that would probably be turned into like an Airbnb. So should I look for, like, I know you mentioned like location in Austin, but is there like a area that's recommended, I guess? Or like what kind of area should I look for?
I'm partial to O2. Where I live. Keisha, what do you think?
I say you can Airbnb or short-term rental anywhere in Austin as long as you market it correctly. You know, like you can highlight different areas within Austin in your listing. Like, oh, you know, like for instance, you're in the Mueller area, you could do so well in the Mueller area just because it's such a popular area right now. I prefer Crestview area. The reason I like that area is because it's central. So I can say, oh, you're 10 minutes from downtown and you're 10 minutes from the Domain, you know. So I really think any area in Austin is fine for a short-term rental.
Yeah, I've been shocked by how every area does well.
Okay,
Really,
I might have to reconsider leaving Austin.
But if you do want to sell your house, we are happy to help you as well at Open.
I've already followed all the Facebook pages.
Shameless plug.
All friends, girl.
This is a shameless me telling y'all that the house is about to be on the market. So
not sure. Expect a follow-up. And Jen also had a good idea. She said when you're looking at homes, your agent can provide you with rental comps to see what your return on investment could be. So you can, if you like have an idea about a particular area, you can see what other people are charging for rent. So that's super helpful.
I looked up on Zillow like the other day just to see what everybody else is charging. And I'm over here like, oh, maybe we should keep that a little bit longer.
Right? No kidding. No kidding.
And also AirDNA. I seen someone put that in there. That's what I specifically use for market research. And the information is so good. And they have like everything you could ever think about as far as the numbers that you need to consider on AirDNA. I think there's like a small subscription fee if you want like all the access to all the information, but it's worth it.
I am going to, can you spell that for me? I'm sorry, I'm Googling it right now.
Yeah, it's Air, AIRDNA.
Oh, AirBNB. Got it. I'm going to look that up. Thank y'all.
Lauren, I thought you had a couple of other questions. Did those already get answered or?
Always so many questions. I was just asking, I think for both our presenters, I remember hearing at the beginning of the pandemic an interview with the Airbnb CEO on, I think it was Decode or something like that. And he was talking about, you know, all the pivots they were doing, and they were sort of panicking because it was early on about travel industry, and they were describing like new procedures around standardizing cleaning processes across Airbnb so they could better compete with hotels in this environment. That was a few months ago, but I was just kind of curious from our presenters, like if you've if you've seen your relationship with Airbnb change dramatically over the past few months as they're trying new things and what that's been like for you.
A great question.
Johnny Okish. Oh, I'll go first.
Yeah.
So they've cut back on some things, like their wait time is longer. They're like the photographers. They've discontinued. Like we've got my house, and I got another one I manage. It's Airbnb Plus, and they're not doing. They're on hold. I think they fired a lot of their people, or laid whatever furloughed. And they've sent out guidelines for cleaning as far as that, to make that be COVIDly safe. So, Keisha, what did you notice?
Yeah, the cleaning is like a lot more crucial now. I mean, I was always a stickler for the cleaning just because it directly affects, your reviews, which affects your coins and your money. So you must have a clean space. But also, they recently released a policy around off-platform marketing. So I was like, I'm really into like having, like I was saying during my presentation, like an Instagram for my spaces and like my actual own website with a domain name and all those things. And now they're trying to kind of move hosts away from doing that because they're running into a little bit of trouble. Like people are doing reviews within their own website and, marketing themselves still as an Airbnb, but through their own channels. So Airbnb doesn't really have control over that at all. So they're trying to move hosts away from like creating these one-off businesses, with its own Instagram and website and stuff like that. But there's still loopholes, and I definitely still do it because it's worth it. Because eventually, like you have to think about it this way, like one day Airbnb could go away, and then what happens, right? Like you want to ensure that you can still get direct bookings, like directly through your own platform. If Airbnb was to go away, or Instagram. At the end of the day, we don't own those platforms. We're just someone on the platforms. So you have to think long term. If you're really thinking about this in a business, anything could happen. Think about coronavirus. Like who would have thought we would be here, and we are here. So yeah.
She mentioned something about long term, and when I have purchased houses, I want to make sure it works. If it's an investment property for a long-term rental in case short-term ever went away. And if it made sense for long-term rental, short-term is going to be better return, but I wouldn't buy a house unless it would work for long-term also. So if I had to, but I don't love it.
Yeah, Steph was saying that with her tiny home. Originally, the plan was always to do short-term rental, but then they were building it right as COVID started, so they went ahead and put in a little mini kitchenette. So it's got a little stove and a little fridge, so it could be a long-term rental should they decide to change it. But then, luckily everything picked up. Okay, sorry, we've got a couple questions in the chat. Colleen was saying, asking if y'all have ever had any issues with theft or vandalism in any of your properties.
I haven't personally, because I try to emphasize within my listing, like you will be held liable for anything that is destroyed within the home. Like I reiterate that over and over and over in my listing. And it's also like a last pop-up whenever you're deciding to book, just because like when you think about the amount of money that we have invested in the design, you want to make sure that people are taking care of things. So luckily I haven't. The only thing I've experienced is throw up on a rug that I had to throw out, which sucked. But other than that, fingers crossed.
I've damaged property.
You've damaged it?
Oh yeah, I pay for it every time. Like the last Airbnb, their microwave was retro, and I tried to open it and the handle came off. And I am a responsible person, so I messaged them and said, "Hey, I broke your microwave," and then I paid for it. So hopefully there are people out there like me.
I had that happen at my house. Someone broke the sink somehow. She said she was putting her makeup on and somehow leaned it in the sink and broke it. So, but she was like extremely willing to pay for it. It was fixed. It was fine. But
us clumsy people know who we are, and I break things or misplace something like everywhere I go. So I already have like a budget in mind. Like I can't find this glass. I put it in the dishwasher. I don't know where it is. So then, yeah. There's just humans like us out there. unfortunately.
Perfect.
On
That'd
this
be
same
really
topic,
funny.
oops, sorry.
Go ahead, Annie.
I'm quite nervous about renting. So the studio is attached to my master bedroom. Like it's like right there. And I'm just nervous about Airbnb something that's that close to my house, you know, like where I'm sleeping, and maybe I'm like just scaredy cat or whatever. I don't know. I'm just nervous about problems, right? And then these people know where I live and all of that. So I guess I would just be interested in hearing about y'all's experiences with that. Anyone who's had an Airbnb on site, and you know, if they've had issues or if I'm kind of just freaking out for nothing.
Is Steph on here?
She's not.
I've done that in my house before. I actually Airbnb'd a room in my house, and I never had issues. I've been doing it. I did it that way since 2013, and actually people are like more respectful when they know you're there, because so they'll like, I got better reviews. Like I get the best reviews when I'm like living in the house or near where they are and meet them, because so it's weird because like they're in your house and like it's almost like they want to impress you somehow. So I've always had like really good experiences, and I even did it alone, like when I was single. Like I had people in my house, and I don't know, I never had a bad experience. So the only time I would say is like, you know, if someone was just like annoying a little bit, like they would just come out and talk, or if they're too loud next door. But like I've never experienced anything like scary or bad.
That was my experience too, Christina. I think there's a certain type of people who they know that you're going to be there, so they are almost like want to chat a little bit, or they're going to be like really honest and respectful knowing that you're right there. So I had the same experience.
And do you think it'd be worth it right now? The two entrances like are on a screened-in back porch. Do you think it's there's a window that could easily be changed into like a door on the other side of the house where they'd have their own entrance on another side of the house? Do you think that would be worth it?
Oh, for sure. Like
I could fence it in and they'd have their own little tiny-ish backyard.
Yeah.
There was so I have 2 rooms in my house that I used to Airbnb. I just tested them out. The one has a separate entrance. The one that I tested out, like I put them both on Airbnb, and the one with the separate entrance always got more bookings and did better. So people really like that.
Yeah, Steph on her house she has 2 entrances, and one goes into a room and a bathroom, and it has a door to her house, but she's like put art and a dresser, and you can't even tell there's a door. And on her side, she has a entertainment center, and so they feel like they have their very own space. And that's what Maddie, who's here, she's working at and like redesigned Christine's house with that in mind. Are you there, Maddie? Do you want to talk about that?
I was just sending Annie a private message to have my contact, but I'll put my contact info here for everyone to see, because these are the exact kinds of issues that we're trying to help.
Their ideas were brilliant.
And we'll share
awesome.
We'll share this in the Facebook group as well.
Okay, thank you.
One more question about insurance. So people were saying, do you need to have special insurance if you have a short-term rental? If you get a booking on Airbnb and they want to extend the stay and you take them off the platform, how do you collect payment? Sorry, that's 2 different questions. Insurance first.
I have a special insurance that covers both, and it was $50 more a year. It wasn't very much. But the insurance guy, he said, well, we can put this in there, and if anything happens, then you're covered. Maybe $100 more a year. Not much. Okay, did you have any?
Yeah, I have additional insurance just because I don't know how Airbnb is. I mean, they're pretty good with any claims that you make. Like I've had to make one claim and they, took care of it, but I'm just extra paranoid. So I have my own personal insurance too, just to make sure that everything is okay. And also like, I just do direct bookings using Stripe. So they do take a small percentage, but it's similar to like the service fee that Airbnb takes.
Do you all think about or have like sort of umbrella or personal liability insurance in case,
something happens at your house when a guest is staying there, like in case they get injured or something?
That's what my insurance guy said mine would cover. Like if something, like if you have a guest, if you have like a friend over, your homeowner's insurance would cover that. But if it's a guest and it comes out that it's a short-term rental, they wouldn't on your normal insurance. So if you're gonna do it, I would just call your insurance guy or lady, sorry, and see if they have, it's just a little bit. Mine wasn't much more at all. Just to add that into mine.
Cool, awesome. I think I caught all the questions. Unless anyone else has anything, we'll wrap it up so we can get to bed at a decent hour. But I just want to quickly say thank you so much to Kay and Meshelle for speaking and sharing your tips and your beautiful pictures and all your advice. I think this was super helpful. Like I said, we will, this is being recorded and we'll send you out the recording in case you want to refer back to it. And then Kay will also follow up with the stuff she mentioned, the kind of bonuses. So we're excited about that. And hopefully you all are in our Facebook group. If you are not, there's a link and we'll also put it in the email, the follow-up email tomorrow. So you can join us and we'll continue the conversation over there. But yeah, thanks everyone. I hope you guys have a good night and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.